Hey, how you doing? All right, some truth. How y'all doing? Full of it as usual. All right. So my name is Dermot, for those who don't know me. Originally from Ireland. As I often say, me and Donald Kinsey speak the same language, just opposite ends of the spectrum, but it is English. So I'm going to talk about some stuff tonight. I'm going to do some stuff tonight I've not done before. I'm going to get real. Man, I come here and there's always two things I think about getting up here. One is, for you older people, Ric Flair. I always want to do his walk up here. Woo! Yeah, don't know why. Always that, and then there's always this point where I'm like, why? What are you doing, Lord, having me up there? Because most of you guys don't. Well, some of you know my story, but it's often hard when you've been free of addiction for quite a while, and it's hard for people to, it's a nice compliment when people are like, did you even ever have a problem? And I almost find myself like some of the younger guys, like, let me tell you how much I used to drink, some stupid pride, but just how incredible it is that I get up here and share. So, Refuge, as Mark said, man, I love this place. But a couple of things. One is I used to work in Christian Recovery House. Josh, am I back? Victory. So, but I used to say to those lads, you came to this place because you couldn't hack it outside. So you had to come somewhere here to learn something, to go back outside and trying to face this world. So if you don't pay attention, you don't learn something, what are the odds of you going back out and having any success? Good to see you, Wes. Love you, man. So it's the same here in Refuge. I mean, if it was going well in our lives, would we be here? If we could fix it ourselves, we wouldn't be here, right? So there's a part of it where it's just kind of clicking into being here and being like, I need help and I need to listen. I need to actually participate and look at this and say, man, I'm struggling out there. So one of the things you have to do in Christian Recovery House, and I was thinking about this in AA, I'd be there like after it's Wednesday night meetings, and it's like you have to say what step AA are on. And there's a guy there, and he'd be like, I'm on step 1. It's 3 months into it. So let's get step 1 and 2 out of the way. Russell Brand wrote a book about addiction, and I won't use his language, but step 1 is, are you screwed? Step 2, if you are screwed, can you unscrew yourself? No. See, now you have 3 months of work in 25 seconds. But I love how these talks come together. So last week, after small group, a guy comes up to me and says, hey man, you know anything about mentors? I'm like, don't leave home without one, or get one, whatever. And he goes, you know what, I need one. You know anything about Christian Recovery House? And I'm like, a little bit. And he goes, well listen man, I need to phase up. I need a mentor. And I'm like, why do you need to phase up? I mean, I want to get in the next phase. Stay out later. So, you want to get high? We can go and get high now. Just to see, because I was like, no, I don't. I said, oh, so you just need my name to put in a piece of paper so you can phase up. Yeah, it'd be great. Now, we laugh at that. But I know when that happens in my life, when it's something so obvious, that I spent a few years dealing with all this stuff, I realize that there's things in my life that I treat like that. I say I want it, but I don't really want it. I just want to check the box. So that young man is not much different than us all, but it does kind of show you where a lot of us are. Which brings me to this first slide, if you put it up there. I think it's perfect if it's up there. I'll just read it. One time I did a Twilight Zone episode. I had it all prepared to do this Twilight Zone episode. There was no sound, so I had to narrate the whole thing. Don't be upset at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Man, if there was one thing about dealing with myself and dealing with people in recovery, it's that. Complaining about how things worked out, and if they're honest enough, you're like, but you didn't do the work. I've often said addicts are like lottery, playing a big lottery. We all buy a ticket and we start spending it in our heads, and we're like, man, go to Fiji, buy a car, give my ex-wife, no, I'm not giving her anything. Go through all this stuff and you go to bed. You wake up in the morning and you go check your numbers, whatever, go to work, do your thing. Well, an addict will go, can't believe it, man. Lottery's rigged. Lottery's rigged, man. I'm not going to work today. I'm not going to do what I said I'm going to do. Turns out he didn't buy a ticket. But that doesn't matter. And it just, that's where we are. So there's a deception, I find, a lot of times. You didn't do the work, you're not going to get the results. So that's kind of setting this up here. So I'm going to get real about this thing I said last week, and it's on your sheets. It's a simple question. Why do you want to get sober? Why? I've been sober almost 7 years. Why do you want to get sober? Is it because you want your life not to suck? My life still sucks some days. Sobriety won't change that. You want to restore a relationship? Maybe you're married, want to restore that? Mark gives great advice to couples in premarital counseling. He says, there'll be a day when the only reason you're married is that you have the same name on a piece of paper. Your relationships are going to go through tough times. As they say in the Marines, Josh, smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. Right? So why do you want to get sober? It's a difficult question. Seems like it's easy. So I'm going to share something with you that I'm going through here in a minute. What I tried to do, and I've sat down with Mark many times, and for those of us who have enjoyed freedom from addiction, because, like I said at the start, sometimes people look at me, I think, and they're like, you don't really, guys that come in a recovery house, and they're like, man, you never been in a trap house. I'm like, okay, well. There was a thing on a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't find my mugshot from Norfolk jail. Kind of annoyed me. But there was this thing on Norfolk Police Department singing. And when I saw it, Charity, that was just singing, is from Norfolk. And my son lives there. I spent some time there. And when I saw the police singing, I was like, oh, I wonder, does Charity know anybody? Did they arrest her? I was looking for her. And we talked about it. Norfolk's one of the coldest jails I've ever been to. But sometimes it's hard to establish my credibility as somebody who was a face-down drunk. And then the other hard part is when I'm always trying to think, how can I take what it's like to be sober? What it's truly like, man, I'm free of that junk. What it's like to be sober and bring it to a person who's not. And not sell them on it, but show them it's a hard thing to try to do. One of my best friends I used to live with, drink with, he calls me about every 4 months. late night, wasted. What can I do, man? I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. We always get to this point where he goes, man, it's just, what do you do with your life? Aren't you bored? Aren't you bored? You know? And I'm like, God, man. And he just can't see it. And I remember not being able to see it. I remember not being able to think, man, I can't last a day without a drink. Not one day. Not 30 days? Are you kidding me? One day. If I can get through one day, I'll be all right. If I can get through to lunch, I'll be all right. So the best way I think I can do this is share something personal that's going on with me. The last time I was here, my son was sitting right there. He's 16. He lives in Virginia Beach. Great relationship with him. In fact, I was talking about how cool it was that he's here. He's getting to hear me talk for the first time. It's like, we're going to get some pizza, watch a movie, do whatever. Amen, you know. But a quick background. Me and his mom got divorced when he was about 3. She got remarried. Right about the time when he was about 9 is when I went into recovery. And just after that time, his stepdad, who was a wonderful, wonderful man in his life, I was so blessed to have somebody there with him. They got divorced, and it's been a pretty nasty divorce at times. So one of the things about my kid that I realized is I was the youngest of 3, so my dad was pretty hard on my brother, couldn't relate to my sister. By the time I came around, it was kind of like mellowed out. So I was always kind of, I'm all right, Dermot's all right. How you doing, man? Good, man, I got it, cool. Even when I'm like really struggling in addiction, it was like, no, I'm good, man, I'm good. Good, don't worry about it, I'm good. Dying inside. So I noticed that with him. He's a great kid, you know, he copes well, he's dealt with everything well, but I was like, listen, man, you gotta say something. It's okay to talk to me. It took a while to build this relationship, so open up, man. If it pisses you off, it's okay. And using what I went through to say, look, that was some of my problem. I never let anything out. So just in the last couple of months, things were fine between his mom and his ex-stepdad, whatever, but it got really nasty. And put a lot of stress on his mom. Their relationship as my son and his mom has been pretty shaky, and to the point she's obviously stressed out, a bit dramatic, you know, and she's like, he's depressed, I think he should move down with you. I'm like, that's no problem, but like, let's talk about it. So finally, I'm sitting there with him, I'm on the phone, I call him, and you know, I'm like, look, your mom's worried, blah, 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 and he goes, all right, Dad, look, I'll be straight with you. Yeah, I guess I am depressed. I guess I am. But listen, I'm not depressed and like, I'm going to hurt myself or going to do anything, nothing like that. He says, I'm just a bit, it's just BS, all this crap. You know, he says, I mean, I like people, I'm social. And he's great, very great personality. But he goes, you know, I really don't like people when I think about it sometimes. And you know, I'd like to get married and have children one day. But it seems like everybody just abandons each other. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I mean, look at Mom and Brian. Abandoned each other. Brian, his stepdad, they just had a great relationship, but everything, Brian has been very distant from him. But I'm cool with it, Dad, if he wants to do that, I'm cool. But he's like, you know, Brian abandoned me. He goes, Dad, I'm sorry to say, you know, but the truth is you abandoned me too. That's my kid. And he's right. Now, everything in me wants to explain it. Everything in me wants to be like, well, you know, man, that's hard stuff, because you know what? He's touching on something in life that we all kind of feel at times. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to get hurt? Right? So, he's never said that to me before. In fact, when these things first started happening with Brian started drinking a bit, and I was like, talking, well, you know, people have to go through their stuff, and he goes, Dad, you went through your stuff, but you did something about it. I used to be like, yeah, he got you. Man, this was a dagger, because it was true. This is the reason why we run, right? So this is my advertisement on what sobriety is going to be like. Make you want to drink. But here's the real beauty in it. What if I wasn't here? What if I wasn't around right now? What if I couldn't go, listen, kid, you're right, and I did let you down. I did abandon you. But I'm here now. I'm your dad. I'm your dad. We'll get through this together. You know, we talk all the time, but we're going to talk every night this week, even though there's nothing to say. I'm going to come up on Friday. Because this thing isn't one and done. It's not over. But I get to walk with him in it. And as painful as it is, man, that's redemption. You know, because if I wasn't there, he'd be wide open to the enemy. Enemy ain't after me. He ain't after you. He's after your kids. He's after the people you're supposed to be protecting. That's why it's important. So, when I think about that, when I think about how hard that is and how gut-wrenching it is, man, it's so worth it to go. I'm his dad, and I'll be there. Because nobody else is me in this kid's life. Nobody can take that place. Nobody can sit in that seat. It's the exact same for you guys. The real damage of addiction is in relationships. And every single one of you represent a seat in somebody's life that I don't care how many stepdads, stepmoms knew anything. There's a place that only your purpose can be. And that's what God wants to redeem. Because I can't imagine what that 16-year-old kid would be facing that heavy of a question and that heavy of a situation without me walking with him. And man, nothing's going to get me. A drink is going to get me out of that. So, there was a time back in the day, he was too scared to tell me how he felt. He loved me too much. He was afraid I'd run. That's what people are in their lives. They scream at you, but they're afraid to tell you how they hurt them. But you know, our relationship can bear the weight of that now. Took some time, but he feels comfortable enough to be able to say, Dad, you did abandon me. And I'm strong enough to take it. Because there was a time he couldn't say it. He lied to me for fear of losing me. So, we're going to go on to like the second part of this. It's about this question, why? Why do you want to get sober? Because again, those results that we go after, that we expect, and the work that we don't do, some of it is because everything that's said here kind of sits on the surface, like the parable of the sower and the seed on rocky ground. The top of our heart is like rocky ground, you know? And the seed just kind of sits there. And we need something to get it down, something to get it into. It was surface tension. The reason you use shampoo in your hair, some of us, Mark, use shampoo, some of us have hair, is because water won't penetrate it. So the shampoo actually breaks the surface tension on the water so it can get in and clean it. So it's kind of like a lot of these AA, all this recovery stuff we do. We need something to penetrate it. This question, why? And not just why, but 5 times why. Just stop by going, what do you want to be sober? Sounds good. Because I'll go to jail. Why are you afraid of jail? You've been there enough. You seem to like it. Whatever it may be. You got to dig a little deeper. The second slide I want to put up there, to me, is so important for this too. Discipline is remembering what you want. Denny came up to me just before and he says, man, I've been thinking about your question a lot. The answer is I don't know. At least he's honest. Discipline is remembering what you want. If you can't define what you want, and sometimes it takes a bit of time. So I'm going to do something here. And the winner of the prize, Mark Allen, would you mind coming up here? There are no wrong answers here. Just shows you where you are. Defines your expectations a little bit. How you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Hot.
Hello.
Pastor Mark Allen. All right, Mark, you mind just spending a minute? I want to go through this with you.
Okay. What you got?
Why do you want to stay sober?
Why do I want to stay sober is the question.
There's either an echo.
Just making sure. Okay, because I'm
there's nothing wrong with the question.
I just have to let you know, he makes me nervous sometimes when I talk to him.
This is what,
I'm not joking.
This is what
I'm
Christian
totally
brotherly love is right here.
Okay, so, well, can I just be honest about it?
No, just lie. Lie like the rest of them.
Okay, I'm just letting you know I'm going to be really honest about this right now. I'm still super stoked that the waves are firing today, and what was the question again? Why do you want?
This is the leader of refuge.
I want to get sober so that I.
Why
can
do you want to
serve.
stay sober?
I want to stay sober so that I can pedal out when the waves are good. That's what I'm thinking. Real quick.
No, it's just it's simple. It doesn't have to go. Okay. It's meant to be like finding out something you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be.
So I can paddle out when the waves are good.
Why is that important to you?
Why? Because it's fun.
Why do you see that as fun in your life?
Well, it's a rush, and
why do you need a rush?
I don't know if I need it. I definitely want that type of a rush. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love the ocean. I know that when I was using, there's no way that I would go out in the ocean.
Why wouldn't you go out in the ocean?
I was afraid.
Why are you afraid, man?
I think I was afraid of everything.
Yeah.
While I was using. Which sort of leads me to a point, I guess, of the question. I don't want to live my life in fear anymore. I don't want that.
Yeah. It's a good answer.
Thank you for leading me to that. I need help. I don't know about anyone else.
Hey, look, I think
the
thing about it is, man, where you start off answering, and with community and with trust and with that and with actual effort, you may find that you're not upset at the results, that you're encouraged by them, or at least they're real. I appreciate it, man. Now I'm going to stop clapping. Now it's your turn. I'm serious. Does everybody have one of these? So listen, I've never had audience participation willingly before, but I'm going to do this. We got a few minutes. Listen, it's okay if you don't want to do this, because at least you know where you are. Maybe you're too afraid for help. Maybe you're embarrassed. Whatever it is, it's all right. Don't go anywhere, Denny. Denny? We're not. Oh, look, well, there you go. Hey, you know what they say when you squeeze an orange? Oh, you're getting into it. When you squeeze an orange juice, you get orange. What happens when you squeeze you? Anybody else? You all got one? You got one, Josh? Oh, something wrong with my question? All right, so listen. Honestly, I want to do this. Just try it. You all got someone beside you, right? And just go through this. Well, if you're on the like needing to get sober around that, why do you want to get sober? Do it. See where you get with it. Because I find like, man, when I go to start something, I always get discouraged by the 5th step, so I don't take the first one. You know? And then you'll sit there and go, I just need a mentor. I don't need help. I don't need it. So I think we're going to, Dustin, you put on some music so people don't get self-conscious. We'll give you about 4 minutes. You all got someone beside you. And just go through these questions, all right? And then I'll finish up with a couple of remarks, and we can go on from there. Oh, yeah, man.
Chase down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion disappeared, where you lost your life so I could find it here. And if you left the grave behind you so alive, I can see your heart and everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I. I can see your heart.
All right, are we call it back in for healing? And if you weren't doing it, I wonder what you were talking about. But did that help anybody get anything? Anybody want to share anything? For connection. Yeah, man.
Games.
For games?
For gains, absolutely.
Gains or games?
Gains. G-A-I-N-S.
I want to be used by God in the way He sees fit for me.
Well, like I said, man, the way God sees fit for me is both to be there for my son, but to stand in the pain. And it's a perfect segue to closing this up. You see, why this is so hard is because I know I can't do it. I couldn't receive that from my son, that blame, that truth. I couldn't receive that if I didn't have something to put up against. Because he's talking about a man that once walked this planet that couldn't give a crap about anybody, even my own son. But that last song they sung, I Am a Child of God, it's who He has shown me I am that can stand, not just and receive that, but go, you know what? I'm perfectly made to walk through this with this young man. Because I'm his dad, that's who I am, that's my purpose. And you cannot, we often look at, I find sometimes, you come in here and it's like sobriety and faith-based walk, and it's like because Jesus saved you and because, He died for your sins, and I know all that, but it doesn't always help me. Being honest, man, because it's like up here, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds lovely, but it doesn't penetrate in to my life until things like this happen. Because it's not about what you believe, it's about how you believe. And when you look for Christ, what He's for and what He's in your life, He's to give you the strength to face these things that you're running from now. Because the pain that you're running from and the things that you're doing to avoid it are two different things. You got to get into the pain. And when that sucks, man, because Christ is bringing up the hill and it feels like condemnation and it feels like the reasons why you want to run. But when you walk through on the other side of it, is knowing that, man, I'm there to protect my kid, our purpose, one of them. And the only way you can do that is who Christ says I am. That's what freed me. And that's who stands before you now. Sober, steely-eyed, and ready to walk with my kid through whatever he needs. So you need Christ. You need Him. So listen, please pray for me. I'll pray for you. And what I would say is take this question, because it ain't just about addiction, it's about everything in your life. Because it's for those who walk free of this are the ones who aren't afraid to challenge what they say, what they know, what they believe, because their truth doesn't come from here, it comes from Him. So listen, I appreciate it. I know that was a bit different, but man, I tell you what, for those of you who feel no purpose, feel like maybe that you've blown it, nobody can take your place. Nobody can take your place in your life. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've never done anything about it. You are born with a purpose. He's the only one created you, and He's the only one who can tell you. And I tell you, when you walk in it, the idea of addiction, the idea of picking something up, it'll be so far away from you, it's almost a joke. Amen? All right, good night.